Peaceful greetings and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to have a more advanced fitness conversation, and I have wanted to do this video for a very long time as well. However, I had a recent conversation with a former gym owner. He stated that he used to own a Gold's Gym in I think he said Hollister or something like that. And anyways, this man and I had a more advanced conversation regarding fitness. And so it was bringing this video that I wanted to create back up to the forefront. And so I decided to just go ahead and, do it now. So, as an elite master fitness expert with 7 nationally accredited certifications and 21 plus years of experience, one of the certifications that I got early on in my fitness career as a trainer that was just getting started is a specific in-depth stretching certification. And this stretching certification incorporated all of the different types of stretching and certified trainers in all of the different types of stretching. So that was actually when I learned PNF, which stands for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. I also learned self-myofascial release, that people, also can, break down to SMFR. And learning those, I incorporated all of the different types of stretching within my fitness, regimen to use as tools that could be added to anyone's fitness program that I designed for them individually and specifically for their goals and their requirements. However, not all of the different types of stretching were actually utilized with everyone, except for 2 types of stretching. And those 2 types of stretching I actually already identified, which is the PNF and the self-myofascial release. Now, why would those 2 be utilized with every client, and what basically makes them like the go-to, and how do they help all of not only your muscles in your body, but how do they help each individual, right? And basically, like, what makes them special, okay? And then the other thing that I wanted to address, which was the main reason why I am doing this video, is that self-myofascial release is actually a incorrect term to call this type of stretching. And I wanted to address the misconception based on a incorrect terming or titling of this type of stretching. So self-myofascial release, let's kind of do that first, because then all the rest of it will kind of make a little bit more sense, okay? Because it has been misidentified and titled based on what we have actually found and seen microscopically through videos of what is actually happening to the fascia with different techniques, okay? And so there's quite a few people that are still, I mean, they're the masses, and a lot of actual even professionals are unaware of this information that I'm going to be giving. But this is something that actually should be addressed, and there are some corrections that should be made. And there's still yet a lot of professionals that aren't even utilizing this within their, fitness practices or their fitness regimens and their fitness programs that they are creating for their clientele. Okay, so self-myofascial release is basically using a foam roller, and you can actually progress utilizing, smaller and even going into harder or actually more dense objects, small apparatus, to pinpoint and target different adhesions or knots within the muscles. Okay, so let me give you an example. If you start out with a medium dense, medium hard foam roller, you can actually progress to a more dense and harder surfaced roller. And then a progression from that would be to a tennis ball that is going to focus more, weight, and it's going to focus more pressure on the specific point that the tennis ball is actually on. Okay. From a tennis ball, then you could progress to a lacrosse ball or a handball, and then you could even progress to a golf ball. Okay, so it really just depends on, because it can be very painful, so you don't want to start off with a hard surfaced ball, right? You want to start and progress your way, because I've literally had grown ass buff men doing these stretches, especially like the IT band, and they'll be balling. I mean, you think these guys are tough until you get them on that IT band, and then they start breaking down. Okay, but part of that also, knowing the spiritual side of things, is that is also, pent up emotion anyways, right? All of these different points are, in the spiritual sense, trapped trauma or trapped emotions that have created these things that are within the body, right? So anyways, those are the progressions. So what you would do with either of the apparatus, depending on whatever level you are at, whether you're novice using the medium dense foam roller or you're advanced using the golf ball, you're going to pinpoint and roll that foam roller. Let's just stay with the foam roller. You're going to roll over the muscles, and you're going to actually be aware and looking for different adhesions, aka knots, within the muscle. Now, once you actually find one of these adhesions, then you are going to stay directly on top of that adhesion. Now, this is where the pain comes in, because when you are stabilized and actually having that pressure directly on that adhesion, it is and can be extremely painful, because you are putting pressure on that point. Okay, it might be a little bit, how do you say it might be, hard to comprehend until you actually feel and see exactly what is being stated. Okay, so you find the adhesion, you apply the pressure based off of, because you're rolling with the roller on the ground, and then your, let's say your quadriceps are rolling directly on top of the roller. Okay, so you find the adhesion, and then you stop directly in the middle point of wherever that adhesion is. So now the pressure is directly on that adhesion. And then what you are looking to do is to stay in that position with the pressure even and stable until 75% of that adhesion has released. And you will know when it releases because it literally feels like a release. Okay, and so then you would continue and roll, and continue to roll until you find another one and repeat that process, right? So self-myofascial release was defined and explained to me as someone that got the stretch certification, as well as in other fitness books and everything. Basically, what has been described and what is actually happening via what we have seen in video, microscopic videos, is not exactly what is happening in those videos. Okay, so yes, the adhesions are releasing, but it's not actually tearing up or relieving per se the fascia. Okay, so what we have found via the actual videos, right, is that the only way really to break down the fascia is in a way of pulling the fascia up, like as in, it's kind of hard to show you without actually doing a video, but you would basically be pulling the fascia up and away from the muscles. Okay, it would not be in the form in which we have been told and taught and and been utilizing. Does the current way of self-myofascial release help the body with getting rid of the adhesions? Absolutely. Doing what is misidentified as self-myofascial release, it is actually like giving yourself a deep tissue massage that you're not actually utilizing a masseuse to give to you. You are actually doing it yourself. So teaching every last single one of my clients, thousands of people, this technique and this form of stretching has actually saved them hundreds of thousands of dollars, and probably even more than that. Okay, because when you are utilizing this type of stretching, even though it has been misidentified, it still is relaxing what is called the Golgi tendon organ within the muscle. It is still relieving those adhesions, right? That could not only cause pain for people, But also that tightness is also and can also set people up for injuries. Okay. And some of them actually are and can be considered injuries themselves. Okay. So not only in what I have already described is it good, it's also amazing because once those adhesions are actually dealt with, not only do you feel less stressed and more relaxed, right? Not only have you done something that also is dealing with, pent up emotion and trauma, but you are also increasing your flexibility immensely. Okay. And you have also made yourself safer in executing any exercise within the gym floor. So I would actually have all of my clients, prior to coming to their fitness session, complete a 10-minute warm-up and then go through a full body self-myofascial release stretching routine that I had taught each and every one of my clients to do. Now, so they were basically warmed up and stretched out prior to us actually going on the gym floor. So it completely made them a lot safer and a lot more relaxed and ready to go. So, and that was prior to the session. So if they came to the session on time, then they would actually be late because they had not done their warm-up and their foam rolling, which was supposed to be executed prior to them seeing me. Okay, so I just wanted to make that clear. Now, the other type of stretching that I would do with my clients is the PNF, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. And that is the type of stretching that you see strength and conditioning coaches doing on the sidelines of football games, where they have the football players on the big black tables and they're stretching them out on the sidelines. Okay. So that was another major type of stretching that I would do with all of my clients. Now, this type of stretching that uses, the actual client resisting against the stretch, it actually immediately increases their flexibility anywhere from 10 to 40%. Okay. And I'm talking about right in the stretch. Okay. So before this stretch, they might have been at, let's say, a 20% angle of flexibility. They literally can go from 30 all the way up to 60 or 70 within that, after completing that stretch. Okay. So, well, no, 60. It would be 60%, would be 40. Okay. So it completely increases people's range of motion and flexibility immediately, and with continued, usage based off of clients continually, coming into their sessions for however many sessions they, allotted and paid for, they see grand improvements in the flexibility from when they first started to when they, end. And some people never end, fitness training with, either experts or personal trainers, fitness professionals. So not all fitness professionals and fitness experts are created equal. There are many that are actually very, very, very good at their jobs and actually take it seriously and are continuing to expand their knowledge base and grow within the industry as, a scientist actually should, right? But then there are others that are very more superficial, and it's all about the looks, and they don't really even care about the science. They don't care about their clients. They don't care about the results. Some of them, they just care about the money, or it's just a job to them to get through college, or to be able to set their own schedule. Whatever it may be, there are those that are very passionate and actually love the job, the career. And there are those that actually do not. They're not passionate about it. They could give two flying fucks. Okay. And that passion and that care and the attention to detail can be very obvious. And that's why I had, people on 6-month waiting lists to train with me, because those types of things you can't fake, And if you read any of the testimonials of my clients, you will see just what I'm talking about. Okay. Because I put 1,000 into my clients, okay? To the point, one of them actually even said she didn't even know how I would have anything else left for myself because I put so much into my clients. So anyways, and I'm talking about working 14, 16-hour days in the gym, right? Just go. Getting it in for these people. They getting it in, And so anyways, I've had a lot of fun over the years as an elite master fitness expert, and it definitely is a passion of mine and a love of mine to assist people to get to their fitness goals. But it's actually also, very interesting and cool to keep up on the sciences of the industry, and to actually have the accurate information that actually benefits them as well. Because, they have come to me throughout the years with different questions and things like that. And they're counting on me to have, the correct information that's going to assist them in making whatever decision that they actually decide upon for their health, right? Sometimes they would have me make those decisions for them, but other times I would just give them the information to have them actually make an educated choice, for their own lives and for their own health and well-being and their family's health, because people have to be they have to be real with themselves. They have to be truthful with themselves, because people would come to me and they would say, TalIsa, how healthy can I be? Well, that depends on you. That depends on the life that you can actually see yourself living, right? So you have to be honest and truthful with yourself. Are you going to be able to be disciplined and give up, the processed foods? Are you going to be able to? And sometimes, let me just interject on my own thoughts, is sometimes you don't know exactly how healthy you can get, because once you get past a certain milestone or you get to a certain goal, when you were 300 pounds, you didn't know that you wanted to do a marathon. You didn't know that you wanted to be a triathlete. You didn't know you wanted to be a cyclist, because at 300 pounds, those options weren't available to you. So once you got to that 170 at, 5'8", 5'9", you got to that healthy weight, you were like, okay, now I want to do this. And so your goals change, different things have already been overcome. So now you're in a whole nother space, place, and mentality to actually get even healthier and get even more disciplined. So in the beginning, you can set what that goal is. But sometimes, like I said before, what I stated before is you don't know how healthy you can actually get, or how disciplined you will actually become until you kind of get to those different milestones. However, there are addictions to food in which people have to overcome, right? There are literal chemicals that people have to overcome, just like a drug addict on the street, right? And so breaking those actual food addictions with real ass chemical addictions, right? You will come out of that and be a lot more clear-headed, focused, and determined in, your goals as well. Okay, and what you can actually, you'll be able to figure out what you actually want and what you actually are willing to do. But it has to do with, what are you willing to do? How do you actually see your life and your health being? Right? So if you are not willing to give up cookies, right? Chocolate chip cookies, then you have to be real with yourself. Now, it was funny because years ago, we were there was fitness traders, and we were talking about stuff, and I was like, it's interesting that people, they're going to, this was back in the day when Whole Foods was still actually a lot more organic, right, and living up to the ideals of real health, right? There was more of the epitome, and now it's like more of the joke. So anyways, the point is that we would talk about people going to, these different, holistic or health food grocery stores. And, people were thinking, oh, well, I'm getting organic chips. I'm getting organic cookies. And as, fitness experts and trainers, we're like, but yeah, it's organic, but it's still a chip and it's still a cookie. So you have to be real with yourself about what you are willing to do. Now, could you make your own cookies and your own type of chips that were actually, healthier, right? Gluten-free, cacao cookie with, with agave nectar or dates, you know what I'm saying? Like, could you make it to where it was packed with nutrition and flax seeds, or, could you do that? Absolutely. So that would still be you being honest, but actually turning that treat into something that is still also good for you, right? So it's all about what you are willing to give up, what you are willing to modify, what you are willing to be straight disciplined with, because you had an addiction to cheese, the casein, morphine in cheese, right? Or you had an addiction to sodas that have 50 tablespoons of sugar in each can. or you were addicted to, a number of things. Like there's so many things, right, that have these chemical addictive qualities with, MSG having, what is it, 125 to 150 different names for itself. Like, it's just crazy, right? The chemicals that are allowed in the United States, the United Snakes, versus what other countries, even Japan, the EU, that don't allow these types of chemicals within their products. Even Canada don't allow, some of these chemicals in their products, right? So, it is a form of what we can consider population control, and what is also considered a slow kill, to actually keep people sick so that these greedy ass mofos can actually make money on you being sick, but then also making money on the food that is making you sick. It's a reason why the food and the drug are administered by the same organization. Did you hear what I said? Food and drug? Hold on. Hold the phones. Did you hear what I said? They both are under the same house. So one is leading you to the other. Okay? That's what a lot of people aren't seeing and really like comprehending and getting. That the food that they're eating is making them sick to have to rely on the pharmaceuticals that are only making them sicker and sicker. And so once you get on that loop, right, it's a downward spiral that never brings you up. Okay? It's never going to make you well. It's only going to make you more and more dependent upon itself. Okay? And sicker, until you cutting off limbs and you got, all kind of stuff, anyways, prosthetics and meshes and what is that? Oh goodness, there was another one I was gonna say. But anyways, the point is that they trying to make you the laboratory guinea pig, okay, and you fell for it. So you have to take your health into your own hands, okay? And like I stated, this is a more advanced conversation with regards to the self-myofascial release and the proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. But those are the two best types of stretching, to bring it back to what this video is supposed to be about. Those are the best two types of stretching that should be widely used by everyone. And there are ways to do the PNF by yourself, okay? And there's not a lot of people that are teaching both of these and doing both of these. And it needs to be more of a standard requirement for all fitness trainers to teach to the masses, and not even just fitness trainers, right? The personal trainers. This is what should be being taught in every elementary school, middle school, high school, college. All the professional athletic teams should be utilizing these. I do see the athletic teams, and not all of them, but majority of them do the PNF. Okay, but I was in communication with the strength and conditioning coaches of a couple of the NFL teams, and they were not using at that time. I hope they have changed this since our conversations, but they were not utilizing the self-myofascial release. Yes, it's misidentified and mistermed, but it still is highly beneficial. Do we need to change the title? Yes. Have I given it my own name? Yes. Right, of what it would more correctly be identified as. But is it still, regardless of if it's misidentified and mistermed, it still is highly a beneficial type of stretching that should be a lot more widespread and wide use, and even more so, than the static stretching that we were taught growing up in gym class, okay? And what most people know today, okay? All right, with that being said, I'm not gonna, as they say, run it up. I'm going to end this video. If you need anything else from me, make sure you look in the description and you will find my 2 websites, my artist website, in which you can get any of my art on any kind of merch. You will find Nieve Tigre's YouTube channel. Make sure you go to his channel and subscribe. You know, he'll look at me sideways if I don't put his little plug in there, because you know he got all the catitude in the world. So Nieve Tigre's YouTube channel is Nieve Tigre, which is snow tiger in Spanish, and it's Nieve Tigre Momma, Momma, kitty baby. And I will have a QR code for you to scan. Okay. And I do have his information on the community board. You just got to scroll and you'll find it. And then let's see what else. I also have in the description my Cash App, and I have more recently added my PayPal because Cash App was kind of tripping. They was acting funny with my money. So I did add my PayPal, in which is and has been, you know, a more reputable company overall for many years, and people trust it more. So anyways, if you'd like to make love offerings and what people would call donations, I call them love offerings, you can do so by either the Cash App, which I would definitely suggest just using PayPal at this point, or you can also buy me a coffee. And if financial means does not allow for that, then you can always support this channel by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting, which all of those things are absolutely free, and they do help the algorithms to push these messages out to more people. And the more people that comment, like, and share, the more, and view, obviously, the more you know, likely it is for YouTube to pay me. Okay, so anyways, everyone, you have a wonderful day, and I hope this information has found you in, you know, good health and great spirits, and that it was actually beneficial for you and you learned something. And if you have any questions or you want to add to the conversation, put your comments in the comments or the community board. All right, peace.